Hi, everybody. DJ Yoakley with you for another edition of Coach's Corner. This one brought to you by our friends over at WRS Insurance Solutions, so thank you to that. And our first ever one with Jason Ray as the East Palestine Bulldogs head coach. First year coach, and obviously some new experiences for these young men. Talk to me about your first impression of Bulldog Country.
You know, we're athletic, and let me say this, DJ, and you're from here, and the community has been outstanding. I'm going to start right there. The community has been outstanding. They've opened their arms to me. They've opened sometimes their wallets to me, everything with the locker room project, everything we're doing here. But, you know, I come from a small town and where, you know, in Toronto, Ohio, where they take care of their own, and they've really brought me in as their own, and with YSN, and even though we did the Veterans Day parade and things like that I was on the committee for, just stuff like that we're into. The basketball team is next week's working Santa's Secret Shop over at the elementary school. All this stuff we do in small town America that Coach Pav and Mr. Knife and everybody that's set up. It's just an amazing community to be a part of, and it's like I told Yvonne the other night. To me, it's like not even going to work anymore. We're here all hours of the day and night, but it's like we're not even at work. This is just such a love, and the community's been excellent, and they're starved for a winner, and we're hoping we can do that.
You said they're starved for a winner, and that's something that hasn't been done a whole lot across the board in Bulldog Country in a while. And you and I talked off the record, and we said that it can change, but it's a culture change. And you've taken that and embraced it fully. Talk about the culture that you're trying to bring to the Bulldogs.
Accountability. We're trying to take some accountability here. We're trying to change the culture. I've had to give up. The kids have had to sacrifice some things. I've had to sacrifice some things for the greater good, and sometimes not. That's hard to do, but to do what we want to do and go where we want to go, and to rebuild this thing into the dynasty that it used to be, and not too long ago, it's going to take a lot of sacrifice, and the kids are buying into all that we're doing. So I'm really excited. We've had our grades are good. We're doing weekly progress reports now with grades, and the teachers have bought into that. So every Friday their grade sheets are due to me. Everybody's eligible. That's really big. And you know me, we talked about that when I was at Youngstown East. It's part of my system, and everybody's eligible, and I make sure of that. And I make sure that the kids do that. And just to be accountable is where we are right now. And to create that culture, and DJ, in the basement here in our locker room, the locker room was really back from the 1950s or even before. We've embraced that locker room project with the Dare to Be Great, and literally we're starting this program literally in the basement up, and that's how we want to go. And our scrimmages have been really good so far. We have our final scrimmages tonight down in Toronto, so it's going to be neat. We got to go obviously to Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse to play, to scrimmage up there, and so it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot since I got the job in June when you and I talked, and I said, and I realized it, but the amount of hours that it's taken to put this thing back together has been immense. But it's a lot of fun, and the fact that I like the kids, and my staff's amazing. And everybody's good from 3 to 12 with EPYSA and on up through YSN. It's been a blessing to me.
So let's talk about, you get a constant reminder every day when you walk into that gym with those plaques hanging there about how good East Palestine basketball is, and the tradition and the rich program history in those walls. Talk to me about how you see this team competing for championships this year.
Well, I'm not going to say we're going to compete for a championship this year. That would be that would be a far stretch right now. But right now we want maximum effort, and we want to compete every night. We want to show that we're here. Whether, you can play really well and lose by 20 and somebody's better than you. And I have no problem with that. But if we compete every night and give our maximum effort every night, and somebody says, wow, we scrimmaged the other night against a couple teams, and they said, Coach, man, you guys just play so hard. And that's kind of my mantra, the way when we did this at East, and even cut my teeth under Matt Cashdaller or Dave Chrisman or Mickey Adams, all those guys I've worked for in the past. It's a pretty cool process, and to kind of embrace that, and the kids have embraced that toughness and that new era, new aura thing we're kind of seeing, and I'm bringing people in to talk to the kids, and that's my plan here as we go forward, and especially with tomorrow night's white jersey ceremony, which I don't want to get into too much in case the kids see it. They don't even know what that is yet. But there's certain traditions that we're bringing in, but just to walk in that gym, and I said it, back when I first got hired, and I was interviewed on your 12 o'clock show. And I said, and I looked at Yvonne, I said, it will never be this quiet in the gym again. And it's not. It's loud, and it's we want to make this craziness. The student section is going to be called Coach Ray's Rowdy Friends section. So it's really neat. Pep clubs involved. So we want to get this thing back to where we're competing for championships. And I think we can here in a year or two. And that's important to me. And I won't settle for anything less.
So when you look at the roster that you have this year, there's a lot of athleticism on that roster, and there's a lot of kids that are still trying to relearn basketball at the varsity level. Talk to me about the guys that you see and expect to stand out this year for the Bulldogs.
Well, in some ways, they're not relearning it; they're learning actually, and that's what we've had to teach some kids. When we say the word hedge or help defense, we're really kind of starting at ground zero with some of the kids, and that's okay. And again, back to East, we did that at East. We had to teach kids how to throw a baseball their freshman year, and then end up, the miracle I pulled off last year up there. So with that, the kids are very receptive to how we learn and how we teach, and we're excited for that. But for them to come to practice every night, and you just see their eyes. What I noticed at the McDonald's scrimmage was like they had this deer in the headlights look. And then last week against Sebring and Southeast, that deer in the headlight looks has gone away. So we're trying to see how we do tonight against Toronto and Caddis Harrison Central, and and see that we got to keep that deer in the headlights look out of our eyes. And once we do that, I think we're on the right path. But for us, it's important that we just keep that focus, and in the new era here, and we're going to do that, DJ. I want to make guys like you that can come back and see us here and whenever you can. And even our seniors that, I've talked to them. It's tough to be a senior when you're in a rebuild, but I'm trying to make it as nice as I can for them. And I want them to come back in a couple of years and say, wow, we started this. Those are the kids that mean a lot to me. The Tyler Starkeys of the world. Those guys mean a lot to me, my senior class.
So when you look at, you've got, you said Bistarkey, a kid that has had a rough go at it, I want to say, hasn't had a whole lot of success from a winning standpoint. Do you have to educate these kids on playing to win and not playing not to lose at this point? You and I know what that's like. We both come from small schools. There's an expectation of learning how to win and not just learning how not to lose in a game time situation.
Yeah, we need to learn how to win. We need to learn how to compete. We got to crawl before we can walk, and then we can walk before we can run. But Bistarkey, with guys like him and guys with Evan Smith and guys with, Ryan Rose and Weston Jones, we have to put them as coach in the best possible position to win. And anybody that knows me as coaching, I run a 1-3-1 zone, and we've tried Tyler at a couple different spots. And I said, Tyler, we've got to go you here. And we've had to move some kids around, and he's embraced that. He's a real quiet kid, but he's a real quiet leader. And some of these other seniors that aren't getting a lot of playing time, they've embraced it, and everybody knows their role in the team. And it's and sometimes that's hard to tell a senior that a freshman's going to play over you. But it's varsity basketball, and that's where whoever earns the spot. I don't really look at a lot of grades when it comes to 9, 10, 11, 12. But with a kid like Bistarkey, we found a spot for him, and he's embracing it, and he's finding some success at it.
All right, so let's talk about foundation. You said you got to build this from the basement up. The basement obviously has to be your younger kids, and EPYSA has been very, very vigilant about rebuilding their basketball program. And when you came in, really embraced guys like Matt Warner, who have really started to be a feeder program for the East Palestine Bulldogs in the years to come, the 7th, 8th grade, and of course the junior varsity and the varsity teams. Before we talk about the Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse experience, I got to just talk to me about how important it is for you to start literally at the very foundational levels of basketball and work them towards your program.
Well, the thing I said, with EPYSA is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Somebody said to me, well, what are you going to change the youth program? Nothing. I'm not going to change it. I'm not touching that. They do a great job at EPYSA, Matt and John Simon and Brian Moore, and the list goes on and on and on. And we saw that up at Rocket Mortgage. Those kids do a phenomenal job. The coaches do a phenomenal job. That league does a phenomenal job. And I can't wait to get to more stuff at EPYSA that I was able to do at the Cavs, because, like I told Matt, it's tough for me to get to EPYSA right now because I'm trying to get this program, on solid footing. And once we get that, then we move to other things. But I am so happy with EPYSA and Matt and those guys, it makes my job so much easier. That I know that they're being taught the right things, not just basketball, but they're being taught the right things. To us, that means more to me and my staff than anything. That they're being taught the right ways and how to be good students and good kids, and that means so much to me with EPYSA.
All right, so now we get to talk about Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. We get to discuss what it was like to stand on the same court, LeBron James, and I mean over and over, Mo Williams, and some of these Kyrie Irving, all these players that maybe aren't there anymore, but the same guys. You got to see them play later that night. What was that experience like for you to be coaching on the same floor that so many greats have really stepped foot on?
And I was more excited for the kids, because, like you and I have done, we've done Steeler games and we've done Browns games. And we've been in the media. So we've seen kind of the aura of all that and what that entails. But some of my kids have never been there. And it was kind of hard for me to go, wow. So just to get them on the floor and just to see, some kids have never been on a charter bus, DJ. So to do all that. It started with literally with the EPYSA and all the way up even to our cafeteria staff that fed our kids on the way up and just did and our bus drivers and everything was just amazing. But to see our kids actually on the floor and to take that team picture was really cool. Matter of fact, we're playing in the Toronto Holiday Tournament, the Calavota, and that's the picture we sent in from us on the floor of the Cavs arena. So it's really neat. And to be honest with you, I have an announcement to make, and you've already know this. But it got finalized the other day that next year in December of 2022, which is coming quick, we are actually scheduled to play at Rocket Mortgage. We did talk to JJ Chikura from the Cavs organization. We will play the Toronto Red Knights up there on a Saturday afternoon before a Cavs game, in a real game, in a sanctioned OHSAA game where we can sell tickets and it'll be on YSN and the whole 9 yards. So it's just building, and that's how we build the foundation, and we give the kids something to look forward to. Just like this locker room project, I said, guys, we're going to get this locker room project done. It's going to cost us $5,000 or $6,000, but little by little, it's getting done, and that's how you build a foundation. So the kids are buying in, but to play at Rocket Mortgage like that and see the little kids' faces and watch them go up and down the floor and try to shoot threes on that big floor and how the paint is kind of a little bit softer than like the mats underneath it. It just was a really neat experience. And we took 110 kids with us, which was a huge undertaking for everybody, but we pulled it off without a hitch. And I appreciate everybody in EPYSA, from my staff and everybody up that made that trip possible. Just a great way to start off the new era here.
So one of the things that I love about you most, Jay, is the fact that you're able to take what are regular kids, right, going up through the ranks, and you make them family. Talk to me about why that's so important to you. Instead of X's and O's, it's about Jimmys and Joes.
It is about Jimmys and Joes. It is about we're actually doing this Friday. We're doing a team turkey bowl on Friday night. We're taking the kids to the bowling alley, and we have a movie night scheduled and some other stuff that we have. I don't want to do too much too early. I want to do this sporadically throughout the season, because we do run into some tough games and some, 3 out of our first 4 on the road. So we got to make this a family atmosphere. We got to remember in a family that when things get tough, you just don't abandon ship. You don't do that. You think, times get tough, sacrifices have to be made, obviously, but you want to stay together as a family. And to me, that's important. So when things get really, 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 really tight and really, really, we've lost 2 or 3 in a row, that's when you don't want to abandon ship with the kids. That's when you want to take them to the movies or things like that, and that way you're just not beating basketball through them. Parents, I was told this a long time ago, parents don't raise their kids to be champions. Parents raise their kids to be good students, good kids, good citizens, and hopefully, God-fearing, successful adults. To me, if we can do that like we did at East, then I've already we've already won, whether we're 0-20 or 20-0 or 22-0, whatever it is. To me, that's the important foundation right now, to make sure that these guys have a good foundation in life with their families, and play hard and just represent that uniform as they will see tomorrow at the white jersey ceremony, which obviously you're invited to. They'll understand what that means to wear that Bulldog jersey, because until that is given to them, they haven't earned anything yet. But tomorrow we finish up camp, and it's been a long camp, and it, with hours and hours a day, and we went to Cleveland one night, and Hubbard the next night, and then Sebring the next night, and back here. And the kids have embraced it all, and I can't thank everybody enough in this community.
Now, you've obviously talked about your kids. Let's talk about your coaching staff. You've assembled a coaching staff that you feel really good about, not just for what they can do on the court, but the kind of leaders that they are off the court. Would you mind dipping into that for us?
Well, it starts down at the seventh grade level with Will Ginder, who's been a legend in East Palestine for a long time. He does a great job with our younger staff. He was on the varsity staff last year. I asked him to kind of relocate a little bit because he's really good with the younger kids, and he went down graciously. He kind of wanted to be there actually, so I was able to make that work for him. He does a tremendous job with our seventh grade. Our eighth grade coach Jordan Baker is not only a good coach, but he's a teacher in the building, and that helps. And he's a math teacher. So he's very detail oriented, and he does a great job. It's nice to have him in the building to kind of bounce some things off as well. My varsity staff it starts at the top with Tristan Reynolds. That means a lot to me. Tristan and I've been wanting to work together for a long time. You and I kind of set that up a little bit with me to meet with him, and he's been a godsend to me. He's been excellent. Tristan and I are in constant communication almost every night on the phone till midnight or whatever we are, a couple times a week, 2-3 times a week, and we're just trying to fit together the right parts. And so he's kind of my top guy, the top dog, as you want to say, next to me. Then my freshman coach, we're going to hopefully play a couple freshman games. Another varsity assistant that is Jeremy Atkins Hill, who's a Palestine grad. He's one of the top officials in the state of Ohio in a bunch of sports. He does high school playoff games for football and basketball, and he decided to join the coaching ranks. And he's kind of like my tech guy. He does a lot of the huddle and max preps and stuff that are just so busy. Just some of the busy work that's taken the load off of me because where Tristan and I are doing a lot of the X and O's and Jimmy's and Joe's. He's doing a lot of behind the scenes work. And he's going to be my bench coach and just does a great job. And I couldn't be happier with Jeremy Atkins Hill. And to be honest with you, and he'll tell you this, him and I didn't have a real great relationship as a coach and an umpire. But we sat down and talked one day, and I really liked his vision. He liked my vision. Now that he sees it on this side of it, it's really neat for him. It's pretty neat. So I'm perfectly happy with the staff. And then it starts again with Mr. Knifer at the top as superintendent, and down to Tony Del Boccio, our new principal, who's been a coach forever. And then obviously, Dwayne Pavkovich does a phenomenal job as our athletic director here for so many years.
So there you have it, man. I appreciate the time, obviously, and we wish you all the best. We're always here for you at YSN. So if you need anything, just give us a buzz. But until next time, my friend, good luck in this first week. And it's going to be a scramble for you here in a little bit.
It's going to be a scramble again. Yeah, it's going to be a scramble. And I want to say good luck to our girls team who open on the road tonight at Beaver Local, trying to defend their league title. They're the top dogs right now. And I just talked to Coach Franken just a few minutes ago, and he does a phenomenal job with our girls program. Our volleyball team had a phenomenal year. So on the girls side of things, they're doing a great job, and and they're great kids. And I just love this community, and I'm proud to be a part of it. And thanks for everything you do for us, and hope to see you tomorrow night at the jersey ceremony.
Thanks, Jason.
Thanks.